After witnessing Prospect's destruction via smelloscope, Terezi gets an unexpected money transfer, which Solix traces to a donor inside the universe the trolls created. That donor is Dave, and that is how the trolls discover the kids. Terezi's position outside the kids' universe lets her use a chat client to observe their waking lives, and troll them at any point in the Alpha timeline with no regard for the arrow of time. At Karkat's prodding, other trolls join in and make contact at many different times in the kids' lives, although they are particularly drawn to the final day of the kids' timeline. 24 hours after the reckoning starts, their view of the kid session is cut off by a phenomenon called the Scratch. Taking an interest in Dave's advancement, Terezi trolls him intensively. In one of many self-causing interactions fueled by the two groups' chronological sidewaysness, Terezi guides Dave to a crocodile stock market and persuades him to use his time travel loops to run a scam and get rich so he can send her money she already received. They also draw comics for each other. It's a cultural exchange. Exploring his land, Dave finds a sword Kaledfulch in a stone and gets it out by breaking it in half. This provokes a wave of monsters to attack. Dave calls on Dave Sprite to protect him from Hephaestus' minions, and then abruptly falls asleep. After slaying the monsters, Dave Sprite flies away to John's planet to help out Bro, who is being chased by the Sovereign Slayer. Bro's Strider ends his first duel with the Slayer by stabbing his katana into the Beat Mesa, a Lohak landmark that resembles a vinyl record. He flees to Lois. Jack Noir pulls the sword out and follows him there for round 2. Bro is aided this time by his newly repaired puppet Little Cal and Dave Sprite. Escaping the puppet's awful clutches for a moment, Jack uses his ring to set fire to the oily rivers and seas of John's land. Previously, Dream Jade died and Jade's Dreambot exploded, blowing up her bedroom. Thanks to a sweet catch by Beck, Jade lands outside on her bed and falls asleep again. After Karkat and Jade's dream selves die, their dreams take place among the tentacled gods who live in the furthest ring, the infinite warped space-time between game sessions. On waking, Karkat warns the other trolls with dead dream selves that they should not sleep, lest they have the same nightmares with the horror terrors. Feferi, unafraid of the dream afterlife, defies Karkat. In Dream Feferi's last moments, she speaks with the gods and asks them to make an environment in the furthest ring where all the dreaming dead can meet. Then the demon comes to Durst and slays the Durst dream selves. John lands on his planet without waking up. Taking an interest in John's advancement, Vriska trolls him intensively. Wandering the battlefield with Liv Tyler and the Robot Bunny, Dream John spots his dad and Rose's mom. He rushes to meet them when he is woken and disappears in mid-leap, dropping the White Queen's ring into a river. The war-weary Villain finds it downstream while mooring his comrade slain by Jack Noir. The Villain holds onto the ring, but does not put it on. Waking up on Lois, John receives his Suburb server copy by Parcel Pixis and rushes home to get Jade into the game. Going up, John finds Nana Sprite far above his oily planet. She feeds John and makes him comfortable on a floating ghost bed while he gets ready to be Jade's server player, unaware that the ocean of oil below him is now on fire. Feeling miserable after enduring dream death, nightmares, and Crabman anger, Jade starts playing Suburb with John. A meteor of cataclysmic size, the one that will wipe out human life on Earth, has Jade's island in its sights. With 10 minutes on the clock, Jade and John ponder what to do in Jade's Colonel Sprite. Their choice will shape the minions, ringwearers, and battlefield of their session. Rose warns them to prototype something at all costs or they won't be able to dig up a treasure that is found in the core of their session's fully prototyped battlefield. Baffled by her entry item, Jade pesters Dave for help, but a stupid crocodile answers instead. John fumbles around with Grandpa's trophies and then succumbs to a rogue nap before he can prototype anything. In his dream, he returns to Skya and sees the Villain holding the ring he lost. Before they can meet, the battlefield starts changing all around them. John wakes up, lost and vulnerable. The ghost bed has landed on the surface of the Land of Wind and Shade, straining him on a jut of rock in the middle of the oily sea, while a red fire creeps over the horizon. Karkat is at the peak of his anger when he chooses this moment for his second try at trolling John. Karkat has just discovered the event that led to his own hopeless situation. When John asks him for the news of Jade's entry, he explains with disgust that they are one in the same. first guardians are immortal beings, ectobiologized by agents and sent by Skaya to watch over the planets that receive suburb players. The source of their limitless power is an object called the Green Sun. Alternia's first guardian is the cunning puppet Doc Scratch. Earth's first guardian is the dog Bequerel. The Sovereign Slayer Jack Noir inherits Bequerel's powers. Karkat concludes that this is the biggest disaster and source of woe in both sessions. Noir slays Bro and imbues the spreading fire with his new first guardian energy and takes Little Cal for a trophy. The fire turns green and spreads across the ocean, circling the rock John is stranded on. After Karkat is done telling John about Jade's entry, Vriska explains to John why it happened. She was the one who put John and Dave to sleep with her psychic powers. She did it so that she could be responsible for the rise and fall of Bec Noir. She is planning to leave the hideout and fight Noir single-handedly. Goaded to action by Vriska and the wayward vagabond, John taps into his own latent powers. A breeze circles his planet, putting out all the fire. The wind lifts John off the rock and deposits him on the shore of a salamander village and subsides. Talking to the locals, John learns that the game has a personal quest in store for the Heir of Breath. Defeating the denizen Typheus will make John the savior of the salamanders and fireflies that live on his world, but first to gain any more power he needs to find his quest bed and sleep on it. Or so says Vriska. John climbs up to his quest bed. It is a slab of rock bearing the symbol of breath. Vriska offers to put John to sleep on the slab. John decides to trust her and accepts her help. Bec Noir murders the sleeping child. We saw before a timely smooch that can revive a dead or dying player whose dreamer is alive. The waking self stays dead, while the dream self recovers and gets on with life. During Sagrub, after Aradia fatally wounded Vriska, Tavros intended to resuscitate Vriska this way, but she refused the kiss. Vriska knew of a better resurrection mechanism, one that would allow a deserving hero like herself to rise up to the god tiers. She made Tavros fly her to her quest cocoon. She also asked him to hasten her death, but he would not do it. Regardless, when Vriska's waking body finally bled out and lay dead on her sacrificial slab, her dream self rose up to Skaya as the god-tier thief of light. The perks of godhood include a conditional sort of immortality, freedom from exile oversight, a colorful new outfit that reflects the hero's title, and, for trolls, gossamer fairy wings. Vriska is the only troll to have earned her wings before beating the game. In the same fashion, as fireflies gather to hug John's corpse on his quest bed, his dream self rises up on Skaya as the god-tier Heir of Breath. Terezi offers to help Dave rise up to godhood, but unlike Vriska, she makes Dave fully aware of the sacrifice it requires. She leads him to make a binary choice that results in a doomed Dave sleeping on his quest bed, a slab bearing the symbol of time, then presents Alpha Dave with the option of slaying the doomed Dave so that he can rise up. Terezi already knows from looking ahead that he will refuse to kill himself. There is nothing she can do to change Doomed Dave's fate. The Alpha Dave walks away. The Doomed Dave wakes up and gets off the slab. Bec Noir appears and murders the Doomed Dave mere steps from his quest bed. He does not rise up. Bec Sprite catches Jade with her bed again, and she falls asleep again. This time, instead of direct exposure to the gods of the first ring, Jade's dream is contained in one of the memory bubbles Feferi asked them to make. Jade relives an old conversation with the Alternian Fish Princess. When it diverges from how it originally went, she discovers that she and Feferi are actually meeting in the bubble, and that Feferi is dead. Jade wakes on her new planet, Lofaf, the land of frost and frogs. Jade's hope for a talking sprite are dashed when she meets Bec Sprite. He only speaks in blinding green noise. Returning to her house, Jade learns from Dave that John is busy getting his wind on and can't be her server player anymore. Dave fills John's shoes, replacing the alchemy equipment that was destroyed when Jade entered. Jade is preparing to alchemize items when Tavros asks her if he can communicate with Bec Sprite for a second time. Tavros has just saved a younger Jade from accidentally shooting herself. He used Bec Sprite to teleport the bullet toward an old man he mistook for a trespasser on Jade's island, but was actually Jade's grandfather. Tavros thinks that sending Bec Sprite to fight Bec Noir will solve everyone's problems. He is high on the self-confidence that can only come from a shiny new pair of legs. Kanaya and Equius replaced his immobile lower half with a robotic prosthesis while he was sleeping. It doesn't take stairs very well, although that doesn't stop Tavros from trying. Jade refuses. She is upset to learn how her grandpa was killed, but a bit of alchemy lifts her spirits. She makes all sorts of stuff, including a legendary rifle from Eridan and a pair of goggles based on Rose's crystal ball. She uses the goggles to see her friends around the medium. Seeing a couple of Jack's random teleportation murder victims upsets her again, and she changes her mind about using Bec Sprite to stop him. Tavros is no longer available, so Jade does the next best thing. She goes up into the ball, at the top of her tower where Grandpa stored her stuff, and mounted Dream Self and Jack's fourth wall. She summons Bec Sprite and completes his prototyping by throwing her dreamer's corpse into him. Beck Sprite becomes Jade Sprite. Jade Sprite is useless. She's confused and upset at being wrenched from the afterlife. Her outburst breaks the ball off the house and sends it careening down the hill. It rolls to a stop next to a stump of dismay. The fourth wall flicks on in the chaos, allowing us to intrude on Hussey in his study again. He introduces his servant, Miss Paint, a Prospitian exile, and types up the third and final recap of Homestuck. Karkat advises Jade to turn off and take the fourth wall. Jade Sprite flies away to Skya. With Kanaya's help, Jade starts to learn about her land and her personal quest as the Witch of Space. Kanaya contacts a later Jade, hoping to learn something about Rose, but by then, Jade has begun to enforce a linear chronology with Karkat and Kanaya. She won't talk to them out of sequence. Kanaya is forced to talk to an earlier Jade first. Kanaya finds the earlier Jade setting up equipment that became available when she entered Lofaf. As the more experienced hero of space, Kanaya explains what the cloning apparatus is for. It's a miniature version of the ectobiology lab where John cloned the babies. It is used for breeding frogs with the end goal of creating the Genesis frog, which Prospit idolizes. Also known as the Speaker of the Vast Croak, the Genesis frog is the creature that embodies the ultimate reward. It is an entire universe. Breeding a frog of this nature and situating it in Skya after the Reckoning is how trolls created the universe the kids grew up in. Alas, Jade won't have time to make a Genesis frog. It normally takes weeks of work, and she has less than a day left before the scratch. But she decides to try anyway. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this summary, there's a link in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more.